I think when I was in college, there was a part of me that wanted to be Matt Corbin. And Matt, I met him my sophomore year. I transferred up to Mars Hill College up in North Carolina. It's now Mars Hill University, but back then Matt was an incredible guitar player. At the time, best guitar player I knew. He wrote songs and performed songs, and was just a nice guy. And uh, uh, one of the best friends I had through college. A few years after college, I was living in Orlando, and I was working as a character and puppeteer at the Magic Kingdom. I was working as a stuntman for the Terminator show at Universal Studios. I was a substitute teacher for Orange County schools, and I was driving a taxi cab. So I was like juggling these four jobs when Matt calls me up and says, "Hey man, I got a great idea. Let's go to Alaska. We'll make tons of money, and we'll pay off all of our debts we accrued through being stupid college kids, and it'll be great." So I was pretty much convinced by the end of the phone call. And a few months later, after rigorous research, we took off for Alaska. And before I left for this particular trip, I was going through all of my stuff and deciding what to pack and what to pack away at my parents' house. And every time I've moved in my life, I've become more and more of a minimalist and gotten rid of a lot of stuff. And this time I was deciding, what am I going to really keep? And so there's some essential things that I still wanted to hang on to, but I had this photo album that I put together of our trip to Alaska. And I decided just to send it to Matt. So I did. And it wasn't until I went and visited Matt this last weekend in Greer, South Carolina, where he lives now, that I realized that was like almost 25 years ago. We were 25 years old, and that's like half of my life ago that we took this trip. And it was a wonderful weekend to be able to reminisce with him about not only that trip, but other stuff that we've gone through. And I don't think we've seen each other in about maybe, I think 16 years is what we came up with. And we were able to reminisce about all the stupid things that we did on our trip to Alaska, coming home broke and broken, and all of that. And over these last 16 years, as I have carved out my life in Sarasota and insular life, I realize I have not been a very good friend, not to Matt, not to any of the people I've ever met in my life before. And I don't think I'm just not. I'm really not ever been a really good friend. I'm courteous. I think I'm empathetic. I legitimately care about people, but I don't sustain relationships. I don't keep up with people. I don't keep up with email threads or whatever. And even with Facebook, and I have 3,000 people that I'm connected to, it's very surface level stuff. But having heard Matt talk a lot about the things that he wanted in his life, he had a lot of superficial things that he wanted, some different tattoos that he wanted to have in his life, and he still wants to get a motorcycle and that kind of thing. But I remember so much about how much he wanted to be a family man and to be a good father, and to create basically the kind of life that his father had created and his father before him. And now spending this weekend with him and seeing that he now has, with his new wife, he's got 4 kids, he's got a grandkid now. One of my good friends, who is 3 months younger than I am, is a grandfather, and here I am, not without any kids. He's created the life he wanted for himself, and I think it's fabulous, and it's extraordinary. And it was really, for me, one of those great things to be able to witness. And it gave me hope as I head out on this new journey to wander around the United States in search of whatever I'm searching for, that we still can do that. That we can still create the lives that we want, regardless of what age we are, or how much we've gone through, that there's always that capacity to start again and to rebuild. And sometimes without even trying, without even knowing it, we create the life that we really want to live. And when I told Matt that he's now the patriarch of his family, it seemed to kind of strike him that he didn't necessarily fully realize it yet, but he has. And so I'm happy for him. And I'm glad that we got to spend this weekend together. hopefully I'll be a better friend in the future. And it was nice to see that he's gotten to that point, and it's again nice to move on. That's about it.